what was actually happening behind the scenes in terms of family dynamics. Sometimes that can happen too, right? In which case it has nothing to do with you as a reflection of you as how good of an agent that you are. Some people are just wanting an unbiased third party to represent them in a possibly challenging transaction. And especially looking back today, 100% I understand why that particular family member didn't go with me. I was brand new, pretty much, right? I didn't have the experience. It was a very important family change and financial decision for them. So it actually had nothing to do with me.
And usually it
It
doesn't.
it normally doesn't, but
Yeah.
that doesn't change the fact that when I went through it, I my go-to was the ego. I was thinking, "Why didn't they choose me? I'm not good enough."
Right. Good morning. My name is Jenny.
Good morning. My name is Toni.
Welcome back to In the House podcast. Today we are going to talk about managing your emotions and ego, but in a certain situation when your friends and family don't use you as their real estate agent.
Absolutely. And we're delving into this topic that many real estate professionals encounter in their careers. How do you manage your emotions and ego if and when this happens? I think at some point or another, almost everyone's experienced this at a different stage in their career. So, it can be soul crushing if you let it. Otherwise, you could navigate around with some of these tips and tricks that we have.
Yeah, definitely a situation that's both really challenging and you can get really emotionally charged. If you get triggered, it probably is not about the actual situation where your family or friend didn't use you. It's more so how are you managing
For
this
sure.
nervous system, or what does that mean to you in terms of your self-worth or
It always
feeling
relates back to
or
that.
even the feeling of being rejected, right? So
Yeah.
we're here to discuss some strategies and insights to navigate through this because I don't have family members in BC, so I don't really have any. I've never had to come across this situation, but
Mhm.
I do have friends that have decided to go a different direction.
Yeah, for sure.
So step one, obviously, understanding the emotional impact on you.
Oh, for sure. And it's completely normal to feel a range of emotions if and when this happens to you, right? Like you mentioned, Jenny, questioning your self worth. Am I good enough? Why didn't they choose me? Does it relate to something that I have done? Maybe they don't see me as professional. All of these things that can be the initial go to of what people tell themselves. So, why don't we give some insights onto um, why the situation can trigger stronger emotions other than what we talked about and affect an agent's confidence?
I would say if I'm gonna maybe give an example because obviously just mentioned I don't have family members
Mhm.
that didn't don't live in BC. But let's just say, for example, you don't get chosen you're going through picking a team that you want to play on, like whose side you want to play on.
Mhm.
And so remember back in school, I don't know if you played sports,
I did.
where you were in a lineup and there's team captains, and the team captain decides to,
Oh, they
you
didn't
could see
pick ya.
their eyes. They're like walking across that lineup and they oversee you. Like they don't even pick you. They pick
Mhm.
like the person next to you. And you're like,
Mhm.
I am a better player than that person.
Mhm.
Right. So it kind of feels that way, when I'm sure every person kind of knows more than one realtor in their life. And when you're not chosen, a sense of different emotions come across, such as disappointment. You're disappointed
For
in
sure.
either yourself. Perhaps you didn't show up or maybe show enthusiasm when you're talking about real estate in a normal environment.
Mhm.
Or perhaps there's a disappointment in that other family member or friend because they didn't choose you. There's a sense of self-doubt. What did I do wrong? Or what did I say to them? And then there's also a sense of like rejection.
Mhm.
And rejection happens time and time again, even when, again, not being chosen on a team,
Mhm.
or perhaps you get broke, your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you,
Mhm.
or, even like if there's like competition within siblings. Maybe there's like a little bit of favoritism
Yeah.
from your mom or dad. But real estate agents often invest not just their time, but also their personal energy into building relationships. And I think most often it's just natural to have an emotional connection
Mhm.
to not being chosen. And recognizing these feelings are just the first step to understanding, being able to reflect, having an introspective on your skills and capabilities as a realtor.
Mhm.
So just really identifying that it has perhaps nothing to do with you, but really just trying to understand the quality and the values of that relationship with that person.
Oh, for sure. These are some good tips.
So navigating the ego often plays such a huge role in our reactions. And how can an agent recognize and manage their ego when faced with the reality that they weren't chosen by someone, chosen as a realtor by someone close to you?
Yeah.
So we had a topic about egos previously to this episode, but this is again talking about egos of showing up and being chosen.
For sure. And um, ego is a tricky thing to manage, especially in a situation like this where you could be emotionally charged. And one strategy to focus on is empathy. So we've talked before about taking yourself out of the situation, but in a certain degree, correct? So,
Yeah.
for example, perhaps one of the reasons why your friend or family member didn't pick you actually had nothing to do with you. Maybe they were not comfortable sharing financial information or, what was actually happening behind the scenes in terms of family dynamics. Sometimes that can happen too, right? In which case it has nothing to do with the you as a reflection of you as how good of an agent that you are. Some people are just wanting an unbiased third party to represent them in a possibly challenging transaction.
Mhm. I do wanna mention sometimes it has to do with location.
Oh,
Perhaps they
for
wanna
sure.
work with an agent that specializes in a particular, geographic location,
Mhm.
sub-area. Maybe, you have never done, an acreage before or a farmland before, or even, any recreational properties on the island, and it's just a little bit too far for you to service.
Mhm.
The other thing is, maybe they have had a working relationship from a previous realtor before you guys became family members and related. So, there's that idea that maybe your partner who you just came together with, you're looking for a place in, and her previous realtor or
Mhm.
his previous realtor, they had a great working relationship, and there was some sort of promissory
For sure.
um, details that they want to work out too, that they've.
For sure, and in all of those scenarios, it's important to ask the question, "What's best for them? What's
Mhm.
best for my family member or friend that decided not to go with me?"
That's great, yeah. Instead of, "Why didn't they choose me?"
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great empathetic, approach.
Mhm. So a third step, or strategy, we could say, in terms of helping you navigate through these emotional waters in this scenario is a perspective shift. Jenny, why don't you share some strategies for shifting perspective and reframing the situation positively, even if a personal connection doesn't lead to a professional one?
Mhm. So one of the things, from shifting your perspective or reframing it, is that instead of seeing it as a rejection, consider it as an opportunity to maintain a healthy relationship and a positive relationship, and without the added stress of a professional one.
Mm,
And I've seen time and time again, many agents have come to me and said that their, brother-in-law has made them cry.
Oh.
And, it actually tarnished the relationship because there was expectations that weren't met, and especially when there's money involved. When
Yeah.
there's money involved, I think it's even a little bit tougher because, you have to understand, like, everybody's, like, values are different and the way they manage money and have the way they view money.
Mhm.
So if you're for example, if you're pushing your client, a family member, to continue to go up in their negotiations
Yes.
without really understanding that maybe your sister or your brother or like your cousin is in a tight financial budget, but you
Mhm.
continue to keep pushing them to go higher in a multiple offer, then they're going to view that as not being very empathetic,
Yeah.
and then they have to um, digress to exposing their financial position, which could be a very uncomfortable conversation. So I just want to remind you guys that every client's needs and preferences are different, and it doesn't again diminish your worth as a realtor. It could just be perhaps taking it from their perspective,
Mhm.
how they view it as you being their agent.
Mhm. Yeah, those are all great points for sure.
So, boundaries and professionalism is the fourth step in trying to manage your emotions. While you're trying to maintain professionalism, how can you, as an agent, establish and communicate boundaries? Because it is really, really important. Even without even on a professional level, there's
Mhm.
always boundaries involved, even on a personal level.
For sure. Yeah. Maintaining boundaries is crucial, and one approach is to have an open and honest conversation right at the get go before working with a friend or family member professionally. Um, I find that one thing that's really important to reiterate to them, even though it should be assumed, is that everything that happens during the sale of their home or their purchase is confidential. Because I have noticed, I work with a lot of family members, and in some really close families, people still don't want the rest of the family knowing about their financial situation or their hardship, right?
Yeah,
It
their
just
dirty
makes sense.
laundry.
And I think it's important to reiterate that to your friends or family that you're working with and just say something along the lines of, it goes without saying, this is 100% confidential.
Mhm.
And then following through with it. You
Mhm.
don't have conversations about the home sale process or the purchase with any mutual friends or family members. So I think that establishes really great trust. It also sets that boundary, Jenny, that you were talking about. So acknowledging your potential client's decision, expressing your continued support, and setting clear boundaries about your professional role. That's a key boundary as well, the professional role.
Let me ask you, so give me an example. Have you ever had a family member or friend, like, not use you, and how did you manage that
Yeah, let me think
yourself?
back because it's been a while. I would say when I was first starting out in my career, um, probably in year 2 or maybe 3, I was still a newer agent
Mhm,
and I wasn't working on a team.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm. Okay.
yeah.
And so how did you approach your family member on this?
No, but it's funny because now that we're talking about this, I'm just going through the emotions from way back then. It was so long ago. And I remember at the time thinking, so my automatic go-to was, "Oh my goodness, it must be something wrong with me."
Mhm,
So I'll fully admit that, and that had to do with a lot of things. 1, I was newer. I didn't have the experience, and 3, I made that error of making it about me.
mhm,
When I took a step back from it after going through those emotions, and especially looking back today, 100% I understand why that particular family member didn't go with me. I was brand new, pretty much, right? I didn't have the experience. It was a very important family change and financial decision for them. So it actually had nothing to do with me.
mhm. And usually it
It
doesn't.
it normally doesn't, but
Yeah,
that doesn't change the fact that when I went through it, I my go-to was the ego. I was
right,
thinking, "Why didn't they choose me? I'm not good enough."
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your feelings are absolutely legitimate and valid, and I think, again, it just really allows you to think back, "Okay, where is this anxiety? Where is this self-doubt coming from?"
Mhm.
And it will allow you to think and reflect to, "Where has this happened to me, in my life previously.
For sure, and the other reality is too, just speaking to this topic, uh, the priming towards, "Oh, they didn't pick me, so I'm not good enough," was already in existence before they didn't pick me,
Good
right? So
point.
it was already there, and then that triggered me.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good point. Okay, so sometimes I know that you do have to leverage your experience.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes not being chosen as a realtor can offer valuable learning considerations, and sometimes it's actually for the best. Some people don't work well together, so if you have a personal relationship with somebody, maybe it's actually for the best in those scenarios if you're not chosen to represent them. And Jenny, I have a question for you. How can agents channel their emotions into self improvement and growth within their real estate career?
Yeah. As an agent, I would definitely use this as an opportunity for self reflection improvement, considering uh, if you can ask the right questions for feedback from the clients who did choose you.
Yeah.
So, what you can do is establish, the aftercare service by asking, like getting reviews, and just really understanding how you did provide value, and just really honing those skills,
Mhm.
and not only highlighting your commitment to continuous growth, but also providing insights that will help elevate your current services. And to me, if those clients have used you and they've given you great testimonial,
Mhm.
continue on brushing up on those skills, and asking for the referrals. And if they didn't pick you, just ask them simply why they didn't pick you.
Yeah.
Like, I have gone into um, listing presentations where it was a definitely strong referral and a really warm referral,
Mhm.
but they were also interviewing 2 or 3 other agents. And even if I lost out, I've always asked, "What was it that you're looking for,
Mhm.
um, that didn't allow me to work with you?" And most often, it has nothing to do with me. It's because I didn't specialize in that area, or maybe it's a really special home.
Mhm.
Um, they also may already have had their pick in their head,
Yes.
their selection in their head, but just wanted to reconfirm the price,
Exactly. That actually happens a lot. I've seen it with
right?
many realtors.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I think by being really forthcoming at the beginning of the listing presentation, have you interviewed other agents?
Mhm.
What is the most important to you, so that you kind of get an idea of their priorities? Is it the price, the timing, the expertise,
Mhm.
um, the ability to
Communicate
enhance,
maybe
to
too.
to communicate? What are your communication styles?
Mhm.
The ability to enhance the listing. So, what kind of digital marketing are you going to do? Are you going to stage the property? So, there are different needs for every property and every client,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
pretty much have to figure out what they value. So, yeah, those are basically the 5 steps to managing your emotions. Number one, understanding the emotional impact. Number two, navigating the ego.
Number 3, perspective shift.
Boundaries and professionalism is number four.
Yeah, and number 5, leveraging your experience.
I mean, all in all, we just want to shed some light to you professional real estate agents on how to manage your emotions. I know that that can get in the way often when someone doesn't choose you, but remember, it is a journey of growth and self discovery
Mm.
as you are getting into this business years and in years. It doesn't even bother me. I don't even flinch anymore or blink an eye
No, it doesn't
when
matter.
an agent or a client doesn't choose me. But do remember um, that just continue to be empathetic, continue to ask with curiosity, so that you can improve on your skills. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, let us know if you guys have ever had this happen to you and what other skills you've employed to, learn something new for the next time and have it better your business.
Yeah, thanks for tuning into this enlightening conversation. And until next time, take care. Keep embracing those emotional learnings in your real estate journey, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, talk to you soon.